(7:14). It's good to have our mayor here and Fire Chief Ken Williams. Mayor, Chief, welcome.
Thank you, Dale. It's a great morning.
Yes, it is.
We're honored to be here, and our Mountain Homes Fire Chief, Chief Ken Williams, is with me this morning, and we want to talk a part of the morning about in his department and what's going on, and then we want to talk about some code enforcement that is being now is the time of the year for a lot of things to happen out there with mowing and leaves and all the things, and we do have some codes, so we just want to make sure that the people are inside the city are aware that things that they need to do with their leaves, with their grass, with their we've got a list to go over, and so we're glad to be here. It's a great morning, and I just want to say thank you to the young man that gave the prayer.
Isn't that awesome?
Samuel Smith, a kindergarten student over to Christian Academy.
Yep.
I'm telling you, he sat here and he prayed a beautiful prayer, and what a delight to see young people.
We can learn from those students.
Yes, we can.
We can learn from them.
I think we all need to sit up and take notice when with these youngsters and what they're doing and what they're capable of doing. Mm-hmm.
Mayor, I was talking the other day. I forget who was on the program, but I can remember being about their age, sitting in church, and the pastors are saying, if the young people are this during the Woodstock generation, if these are our leaders of tomorrow, we're in trouble. Well, guess what? Those days are here. I'm looking forward to leadership from people like Samuel Schmidt.
Well, I tell you what, great young man, and those kids are young people over there. You got to take your hat off to them. And
they're not ashamed. They come in. They're not shy. I mean, they get a little mic shy occasionally, but a little coaching here and there, and they've done a fantastic job.
Well, they step up to the plate when they get here and hit a home run.
They do
with their prayers. I think it's great, and thank you for setting that up.
It's our pleasure. Our pleasure.
Talking about Mountain Home. Start with, I want to talk a little bit about the news that from the chamber, actually, where there was it was from the Arkansas Technical Business Index, which is fairly new, I believe, but they study the cities, and it's these are based on the studies are based on several components, but Mountain Home actually placed number 9 in the state. We're out there with some big cities. It measures the economic activity of, I think, actually about 18 cities was measured, and it includes labor, the housing market, construction and retail sales data. Ratings above 100 indicate a city is doing better than the state average. So we come in at number 9, and the cities above us was Fort Smith, Springdale, Fayetteville, Rogers, Hot Springs, Conway, and Van Buren. Now, what's important is the cities that we're ahead of, and I've got a list of those. Mountain Home rated better than Russellville, Jonesboro, Searcy, Texarkana, North Little Rock, West Memphis, El Dorado, Little Rock, and Pine Bluff. So we're sitting here in north central Arkansas, and we've talked about this before. Mountain Home is a hub for a lot of activities.
You bet.
And we're now getting some credit back for what's actually happening here. And these things haven't been it's been happening for a while, but I think we're on people's radar screen now, and that's good.
I've been to some of those other cities, especially like Pine Bluff. I'm glad to be here.
Well, we're glad to be here.
I'm sure the chief is too.
But our neighbor over here to the east, Jonesboro, a thriving city, and we come in above them, and so. I take my hat off to our people that's making these things happen, and it's an honor to for the city of Mountain Home to be included in this and actually come in number 9, right in the middle, and hopefully as this proceeds, well, we'll hold our place or even gain some.
And Mayor, not this year, but the past couple seasons, I've been involved in the Little League Baseball program, and through the tournaments, the district tournaments. We've had a lot of people come from Jonesboro, Paragould, and from here east all the way to the Mississippi River. It's unbelievable the amount of comments we get and compliments saying, we like to come here. And you think about it, if you have a tournament and a double elimination that starts on a Friday evening that lasts through perhaps Sunday night or Monday, you go to Pine Bluff or Jonesboro, something like that, there's really not a lot to do. But here they bring the boat, they bring the camper.
Yep.
They shop to buy the supplies. They'll come and play baseball on Friday night. If they're scheduled to play at 4 o'clock on Saturday, well, Saturday morning they're out on the lake in the boat for a while. Then they're having hot dogs and hamburgers at the campsite, and then they're coming in and playing baseball and going back and forth. And last year we had people asking for guide service on the river. They asked about Mountain View, Arkansas. They asked about Cotter and Norfolk and all these other little towns.
Well, if we can get the people here into the area, everybody's going to benefit from it. Not only Mountain Home, but the surrounding area. These people are coming to have fun, enjoy, hopefully win ball games or whatever whatever event brings them here.
Sure.
But
it could be a tennis tournament, a swimming meet. Just got a text from Senator Missy Irvin. Congratulations, Mountain Home and Mountain Mayor.
Well, thank you, Senator. The Mountain Home, I had very little to do with it, but it is a great honor.
You've been a vital part for many years. What are you talking about?
Well, thank you. We're proud of Mountain Home, and we want to keep Mountain Home moving forward. And from the hub component of it, and also the tourism coming in here and the retirement. So we've got a combination here that most people would nearly kill for. Mm-hmm. Just look around us, and we take things for granted. I know, and you and I have talked about this.
Sure, and how many cities have a hospital like we have, the university, the school systems, where you're talking about Mountain Home, Norfolk, Gasville Cotter systems. Look at Ken Williams sitting right here. A fire department with this kind of equipment, this kind of personnel.
Yes.
Police department, sheriff's office, state police.
We've got the best, and talking about Chief Williams, his department is an outstanding. I would put it up against any department.
I would too. In
the state, with comparable, even larger populations, because they've got those men are trained. They're equipped, and they're just good. And
let me tell you a story.
Thank you, Mayor.
Years ago, I had some friends come down from my hometown of Fairview Heights, Illinois. We want to see your fire department. And I'm going to say this is, I don't know, maybe about 15, 18 years ago. This is they have about 40,000 people they serve up there. They came down and took pictures with permission from the chief at that time of what we were doing in Mountain Home.
Yeah.
So, hey, that's a good idea,
Well, what a compliment.
Yeah,
Chief, why
exactly.
won't you get in on this and let us know what's going on?
Well, I do feel that we're fortunate to have such really the quality of equipment that we have. I think we're in older buildings and we're working on, trying to get some more room. That's the problem with the new fire trucks these days. They've become longer and longer. Yeah. And, our building that we're in was built in 1975 and we've just outgrown it, as far as base space. So it's something we're looking at improving on in the future. But as the mayor says, I myself would put our department up against most as far as our abilities, the equipment that we have, the knowledge. We continually train to keep up with trends, the newer trends that's in the fire service. We try to be prepared for what's out there. All these new man-made products, more cancer-causing agents. We continually stay on top of all that to keep our guys men and women safe, in our fire service. It's a continuing education. I tell people all the time, if you don't like school, you don't want to be in the fire service, because we're continually training. It's just like going to school every day for your whole career. But we're in a good place. We're doing well. We've got good quality people. I couldn't be more happy to be chief of this department. Makes my job easy.
And something I want to throw in there too is, every so often Eddie will come in here and we'll talk about fire prevention, especially in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
You start getting that transition where it gets a little bit cooler and people are not ready to turn the furnace on yet, and they'll throw a couple logs in the fireplace or the wood burning stove. And
fall of the years is a big time for fire prevention for us, because there's a lot of fire hazards out there.
Sure.
But so is the spring. This time of the year it's just as bad. You've got all your things that are falling off in the wintertime. You might get a little ice, heavy snow, all the dead limbs break off the tree. So there's a lot of cleanup to being done. We get a lot of people calling every day, wanting to do outdoor burning. One of the things we do is we look at the wind speed. We have an ordinance in the city that specifies when it's safe to burn and when you can and cannot burn. 5 mile-an-hour winds, has to be less than 5 miles an hour winds. Can't burn in any ditches, easements, or alleyways that's owned by the city. You have to burn during daylight hours only. Have to have someone there with it all the time. We prefer, you have to have means of extinguishment. We prefer that you use a garden hose. You have to be at least 16 years old to be with it. But there's other things too. As far as outdoor burning, this is the time of the year when the grass is growing, people's mowing. You want to make sure that you got that gasoline stored properly.
what is proper storage? Let's go over that for a minute.
Well, it needs to be in a safety can to be proper, but even the plastic cans like you buy at Walmart, you want to make sure you've got the lids on. Make sure that they're tight. Gasoline, like everybody knows, off gases. Excuse me. You want to make sure that all the lids are closed on it when it's not in use.
Well, let me ask you.
10 gallons. You don't want to store any more
No.
than 10 gallons.
I've got mine in 2 gallon and 1 gallon.
Mm-hmm.
But now let's say that you don't want to store. Here's what I'm getting at. You got the little vent cap on those. If the little vent cap breaks off and you got the main feeder tube block, but you still have the vent cap open and you store it near a pilot light.
Well,
That's not because it's the fumes that can ignite.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. And you're exactly right. You want to make sure that a can is sealed when you're storing gasoline. If it's
Both
not
the little
sealed,
vent
you need to get rid of that can and go buy a new one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any ignition source that may be around, it can ignite those fumes, and that's the dangerous thing of gasoline is the fumes. The hotter it gets, the more it's going to off gas and be more dangerous as far as gasoline goes. But let's talk about chemicals.
Okay.
This is the time of the year where ticks are starting to get bad, and people's putting stuff out in their yards, and just make sure that stuff when you're done with it that you store it where kids can't get hold of it. If you've got an outdoor storage building, make sure it's locked up. Just be mindful of those things and keep those things stored properly.
Mm-hmm. Mary, got about another minute before we take a break.
Well, just to kind of talk about what the chief been talking about here, the city of Mountain Home, the fire department works very well with the rural departments, and actually has the contracts with the commissioners in I call it the donut type district that was formed between where the city limits ends and other districts start.
Mountain Home Rural Fire Protection
Mountain Home Rural
District.
Fire. And Dale, I just want to say a big thank you to all the fire departments out there, the rural and all these, the volunteers that get out and work. And, those are the volunteers. We've got some paid, we've got some volunteers, but the volunteers in the rural are wonderful.
We're visiting with Mountain Home Mayor Joe Dillard and Fire Chief Ken Williams. Real quick, the Calico Rock Lions Club will host their second annual all-you-can-eat pancake breakfast Saturday, May 9th from 7 to 10:30 a.m. at the United Methodist Church on Highway 56 in Calico Rock. Looks like adult tickets are $6, $8 at the door. We'll be right back. More with the mayor and the fire chief right after this.
Check out our YouTube channel. Just search Mountain Talk Radio. This is Mountain Talk.
7:35 on a beautiful Wednesday morning. Mayor Joe Dillard of Mountain Homes here along with Fire Chief Ken Williams. Mr. Mayor, the microphone's all yours.
Well, thank you. We was talking when we took the break about the Mountain Home Fire Department, Chief Williams, and the areas that we serve. And Chief, I know we actually contract, I believe, with the Mountain Home District that surrounds our city. Would you like to?
Well, the rural district has, it's kind of unique, our rural district is, which is about a 5-mile radius area that surrounds the city of Mountain Home. Mountain Home Rural Fire Protection District is a formed district, but they don't have a fire department, so they contract with the city of Mountain Home. I think in the rural district, if you live outside the city in Mountain Home Rural District, you're going to pay 3 meals, and the rural district gives 2 of those meals to the city to provide the fire service, which it kind of makes it unique with our department. We're a municipal department, but we also have to be a rural fire department. So that's one of the reasons why we're so crammed with our space, is because we have to have city equipment, and then we also have to have equipment that where we can haul water, tankers, and that kind of thing. And like an area that has no fire hydrants. So we're really both kind of departments, a city fire department and then a rural fire department. So, but that deal with the rural district has been good for us, because part of that 1 meal that they have left over, they help us with our budget a little bit. They put I think it's $40,000 a year they put into an apparatus fund, which is one of the things that I'm glad that the rural district and the city of Mountain Home has went together on. Fire trucks are expensive. They're $500,000+ to buy one. And that's a hard thing for the city to be able to come up with that kind of money to buy a new engine or a new fire truck. So the rural district, helps with that. And we've established that apparatus fund. $80,000 goes in there every year. City puts in 40, the rural district puts in 40. We save 5 years or so. We've got enough money to buy a new truck. So the rural district is and the city work really well together. It's a partnership. It's really a partnership, and it has really worked well.
Now, I just didn't know this basically existed, because I thought outside of Mountain Home we relied on our volunteer fire departments outside the perimeter.
And we do. There's 19 fire departments in Baxter County. Mountain Home Rural is one of those entities as far as those districts go, but they don't have a fire department, so they contract with the city.
So now, how you say you go a 5-mile radius outside the city limits?
Well, I'm saying from
the firehouse?
From our main station, it's about a 5-mile radius that we cover.
Wow.
It can vary a little bit because of the way the boundaries,
the layout.
But
the rural district's 54 square miles.
That's pretty good size.
The city's 13 square miles, and the area that we cover total. Now that's the city and the rural is 54 square miles that we're responsible for.
And the chief mentioned, and these this district has commissioners just like any other, and they set the millage, and chief says 3 meals, but the people living in that district are making out very well, because they have an ISO rating of 4, which brings their insurance premiums way down.
That's good.
So it's a trade-off when they're paying that millage instead of paying it to an insurance company.
Right, and another thing to keep in mind too is the rules. or volunteer fire departments typically, and people's not there. I mean, they're at work, and when you have a fire, they've got to actually leave their work, come to the station, get equipment. The difference in our rural district, Mountain Home Rural, is they're getting full-time people. I mean, they get the same service in the rural district.
But now,
as
when you
they
say
get in
you
the
have to
city.
haul water, that gets expensive too.
Well,
Yeah, because water's not lightweight. What do you haul? 500 or 1,000 gallons? And how much you have to haul at a time?
about 2,000
2,000?
gallons is what our tankers are, and we've got automatic aid with Clark Ridge Fire Department, also Buford Fire Department, and that's what they do is bring water as well. So anytime we have a structure fire in the rural, if we need a lot of water, we've got 2 tankers coming. Clark Ridge is going to bring a tanker. Buford's going to bring a tanker, and we've got other fire departments that we have agreements with that if we need water, they'll bring water too.
Well,
So,
when you look at Baxter County as a whole and Mountain Home is the only one that has paid employees, I believe.
Gassville has a paid chief, and I believe that's the only other one.
Okay, but basically, we depend on volunteers, and we've received the Volunteer Community of the Year award for I think 20 years, maybe 21 years. But when you see people out here and these firefighters that are volunteering, that's very dangerous duty, and but we still got people that volunteer, and it's all about helping each other. Reaching out and serving and helping each other.
Right, and I would add to that even though we're a municipal department and have 23 people on shift, now that's total. There's 8 on a shift, and we run 2 stations. So typically there's 5 down at Station 1, 3 at Station 2. But we could not survive without our volunteers. I mean, right now we have 14 volunteers on our staff, plus our full-time people. And it's a combination department, and we couldn't survive without our volunteers.
Okay, gentlemen, what can we do to encourage, and this is the hard part. Let's say you've got a gentleman 32 to 35 years old said, I'd love to volunteer for my local volunteer fire department, but I work basically 7 to 5. By the time you get the kids out of bed, ready to school, on the bus, or taking them to school, you got something going on from 7 in the morning to 5 in the afternoon. Let's say you get a midnight alarm and you fire till 5 a.m.
That's one of the hard parts about being a firefighter. You may be up all night, on a structure fire and still got to go to work the next day.
Mm-hmm.
All of us that are in the fire service have done that many times.
Sure.
It's just part of the job. You may go a couple of days with not much sleep. It's like the mayor says, it's a dangerous job, and it's a job without. We don't do it for recognition. We do it but for the love of our community. We want to help people, and it's dangerous, and it can be long, drawn out deals at times. Where there's just not much sleep involved.
Well, it's a necessity. It's demanding, and my hat is off to the chief and his and our firemen in the city, and also out in the volunteers and the people that work the fires all over the county, because they're out there to keep us safe, to protect our lives, to protect our property, and when we see one of them, we just need to stop and thank them.
Yeah. When first thing when something catches fire, run. Not a fireman, they run into the fire.
Yeah, that's true. Fortunately, we've got good equipment that going to, hopefully protect us. I mean, there's limits to our equipment. The kids, there's a lot of kids come up to the fire station all the time to, they want to look at the equipment, and, just see how a fireman lives, basically, because that is home to them a third of their life.
Mm-hmm.
They're there once out of every 3 days for 24 hours, so it's their home away from home. But these kids come look at these turnouts, and they're big, heavy coats. I mean, when we put all of our equipment on, it's at least 60 pounds, and you get it wet, it can be 80 pounds. But
Goodness,
those coats, you wear a coat to keep you warm in the winter. We wear them to keep us cool in that fire. Turnouts are expensive. They cost a lot of money.
What's it cost to outfit
$1,600 just for a coat and and bunker pants.
And that's accounting self-contained breathing, is it?
Well, that's just the coat and the pants. You
Oh,
know,
my
then you
goodness.
got the bunker boots that goes with. That's $250. Suspenders. You got your helmet. That we have to wear. All this is specialized for our type service. And then you throw that air pack on there, and the mask. I really don't know for sure what an air pack costs right now. We haven't bought any since 2007, but it's several $1,000s to outfit one man.
One fire.
But we've got to protect them to the best that we can, with the best equipment that we can, and they're still at risk when they go into that
Sure.
house or climb that ladder to So
It's changed so much when I started. I've been in it 30 years now.
You've
I
been there,
started in '85.
My goodness.
August this year will be my 30th year actually, but now we have equipment that actually goes on our bodies. It'll tell us if it gets too hot. We've got alarms that go off and alerts us to get out. So we're very well protected, and like I said, we've been fortunate enough with our budgets that we can keep up with good equipment to make sure that our people are protected the best possible
Okay,
way.
let's take a minute here. We've got time here. Let's talk about our responsibility in our homes. Smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors. What else is out there to help us to help you?
Well, like we talked about a while ago, just good storage practices, making sure that combustibles and things like that are away from open flames. How you're cooking. Cooking's one of the leading cause of fires. You want to make sure that if you happen to get a phone call or whatever, you at least turn your stove off. If you're cooking, or stay there with it. I always stay right by the stove until I'm done cooking. I don't leave that area. But just good practices, I think, helps more than anything.
Okay, so I had the kerosene heater up and running throughout the winter, and it's got about 3/8 of a tank of fuel left on it, and it's stored somewhere. I couldn't even tell you where it's at. Is that safe? Should I drain the fuel out of my kerosene heater? What would you do?
Personally, I think as long as you've got that sealed up properly, I don't think it hurts
be
a
okay.
thing in the world to leave that fuel in there.
Yeah.
You just want to make sure that it's put in stored properly.
Yeah.
I don't believe that'd cause a problem. Smoke detectors. The big thing there is people don't never change the batteries till they go to chirping. We get calls all the time. That the bird in the house. And you go
get calls on that.
Yeah, and you go there and
Got
you
a cat in
find
the
out
tree.
that their battery's bad. We try to tell everybody, when the clocks change, when you have to
Change
change
your
your
battery.
time, change your battery.
Yeah.
It's just a good practice.
It is. We're going to take a quick break here, visiting with Mountain Home City Mayor Joe Dillard and Fire Chief Ken Williams. Stick around. Be right back. 7:50. Want to give the mayor as much time as possible, Mr. Mayor?
Well, Dale, thank you. We've had a good discussion about different projects or things going on in the city. One of the things that I wanted to just mention to our people out in the city is to ask everybody to cooperate with. It's time to mow our lawns. It's time to through the winter, and some are still cleaning up leaves from last fall. And these things are easy to mow and let it go out into the street or up on the sidewalk, and or blow the leaves out, and they wind up in our drainage system. Street department's been spending some time and money. Anytime you spend labor time, it's money cleaning out leaves that never should have gotten into the system. So,
Really?
I want to ask the people to be considerate. Don't put your grass out on the sidewalks or the street. Don't blow your leaves out there. We have an ordinance against it, and our code enforcement people, which is the city police, if you do this, you're subject to getting a citation. We all need to do our part. If everybody does their part, we've got a clean city. I want to see it cleaner. I want to see, when people come here, I want them to feel the friendliness, but I also want them to see that we take care of our property. That
means a lot. That
we
means a lot.
respect each other, and and even at garage sales, the garage sales are starting in up big time now. We actually had one last weekend, and people tend to park on the opposite side of the street from where they're actually having the sale. Well, that is against the law, and you can get a ticket for it.
Wow.
Everybody needs to park on the side of the street where the side that the sale is on. And that way that leaves one lane where if Chief Williams need to come down through there with a fire truck, he can get down through there. When you've got them staggered, it's no good. We actually had to ask people to, and this. So I'm just throwing this out to for consideration that people need to consider. I think most of us like garage sales and getting out and looking and visiting, and so let's just do it right. We have codes against or an ordinance that against anybody that sets up a if they litter or if they have extra trash that they're not taking care of, if they have old furniture or anything that's everybody has to remove things from time to time, but there's a way and there's a process in which to do it. Don't take it out and set it on the curb and wait for someone to pick it up. That may not happen. I've seen over the years, an old big chair or a couch or something set out there, or an appliance, and it sits there. Well, folks, this is against it's against the law to do this. So consider before you blow things out into the street or before you set unsightly objects out.
And I'm glad you said this, because one time I was coming from Missouri into Arkansas on Highway 412 over the northeast corner, coming into Paragould, and there was this big old, I don't think it was an old Chevy or Ford truck, one of those big trucks, like a 7-800, but it's like a 1964 model, had a tree growing out the windshield. It'd been sitting there a while, and just junk everywhere. And I thought, clean it up. And I'm so glad to hear the mayor say this. Keep it clean.
Well, hey, it don't take too much, and the weeds. If your weeds or grass gets above 12 inches, you're probably going to be getting a letter from our department asking you to clean it up. And in any of these events, if you've got things and they don't get done, then the city has the right by this ordinance. We can go in and actually mow the lawn. We can go in and remove things, but we also, there's a charge to it, and if they don't pay it, then Mr. Morgan can put a lien against the property. That But what I'm doing today is just asking people to cooperate. Let's look out for each other from a health standpoint, but let's look out for each other and cooperate with keeping our area clean.
Chief Williams, final thought, about 40 seconds.
Appreciate you letting me come here and speak a little bit about our department. We're strong and moving into the future, and we really appreciate being here this morning.
We've got a fine city and a fine county with fine leadership. Mayor Joe Dillard and Chief Williams for the fire department, and of course Corey Manuel, our police chief, and Sheriff John Montgomery. Gentlemen, very appreciative. Thank you.
Well, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Great opportunity to visit.
Love having you all here. In celebration of spring and service our veterans, Alleywide American Legion Post is having a catfish dinner May 9th, noon to 3 p.m. The Gold Star mothers are invited to be the guest. Contact Ed Parkin by May 8th at 453-5212 to reserve your spot. The public is invited. What was the ticket here price? Donation of $10. Saturday, May 9th from noon until 3 p.m. Alleywide American Legion Post 52 at 717 Market Street. That wraps it up. We'll be back tomorrow.